Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host. Check out this show on SteveandMikeShow.com and wherever you get your podcasting platforms. I am pleased to have on the beautiful, the talented, the lovely Miss Princess Havoc, adult star model. Absolutely stunning, absolutely spectacular. Princess Havoc, how you doing tonight? Welcome to On the Mic with Mike.
I'm wonderful. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm good. I'm going to say this right now, and I'm just leaving that in just for the comedy aspect because usually sometimes, and it does happen with audios and shows, people, there'll be some technical difficulties, but hey, sometimes it happens even with the introductions. But the point of the matter is you're here and we're about to have a fun show. So once more, thank you.
Absolutely.
Please don't worry, it happens. Sometimes you sound like Lionel Richie sometimes when you're trying to get people back on. Hello, is it me you're looking for? Absolutely, because you're off the dang line. See how that ties in and correlates back to everything? But anyway, I digress. Corny jokes aside, Miss Princess Havoc, first and foremost, I wanted to say this to you. Thank you once more for coming on the show, but let's get started here. Let's talk about, that's what I love doing with these shows, giving people the platform to tell their stories. Talk about how did you get involved into the world of the adult entertainment industry and talk about your story getting into said business.
Well, it's actually kind of strange. Unlike not unlike a lot of adult industry workers, I had a sexual assault when I was younger, and from that, doing therapy as a child to try and cope with it, I grew a fascination with human sexuality, which has progressed into me getting my degree in psychology and specializing in human sexuality and PTSD associated with sexual assault. But at the same time, it made me so that I am very fascinated with sex personally. And I always wanted to be a porn star, even like in my, 18, 19-year-old years, I wanted to be, I'm going to be a porn star one day. And now I actually, I have the confidence to do it now, and I'm trying to go for it.
I got to say this about you. See, that's very interesting as well, because we're going to get into the psychologist part. I'll be honest with you, folks. Before we even started this, you and I were touching upon this last night, and I'm like, I did not know that first and foremost. And I think it's very interesting as well, because I think as people and as adults and as, us as our overall beings, we all have very unique of what we're into from the sexual standpoint. But really analyzing, dissecting, and deciphering that from a psychological standpoint, I think it's great. And you get to help a lot of people out in that front.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely, I don't know, I haven't figured out how to tie doing porn and following my fascinations and pleasures to helping people, but I'm working on it. I've done some life coaching. I've done some relationship coaching and helping people with that stuff. I haven't finished my master's, so I'm not licensed to help anybody in that aspect. So at this point, everything I do is purely research and kind advice.
You see, I can appreciate that because you know what it is? I think as our overall beings, as we get older, I know we're taking this down a spiritual route, but take this ride with me, people, and you yourself, Miss Princess Havoc. I think what's interesting about us as beings is that, we get to help people, we get to advise people. And like I said, with what I do with podcasting, I really, strengthen this factor. I mean, I pretty much put the point of the matter being, I like to help people, I like to inspire, encourage people, give people the platform to tell their story. But I think what's awesome about it is, too, you get to learn and, meet a lot of great people like yourself, Princess Havoc. And I think a lot of people get to learn stuff and really just get to, absorb, resonate and generate with people. And I think that's wonderful. Now, from what you're doing from the psychological standpoint, I got to say this. First and foremost, I'm sorry that happened to you as far as the sexual assault goes. I think there's a lot of things like that still exist to this day, which is horrible. And you see a lot of cases, against women and everything involved. And it's absolutely horrible. But I think one door opens, one door closes, another one door opens, and it really just shows the path, the road, the journey that has taken to you to where you have today, as far as the adult standpoint and where you are as a psychologist.
Oh, absolutely. And I've actually talked with therapists over the years about me wanting to do porn, and of course it's been advised against because there is such a negative connotation to being in the adult industry, and it's so taboo that a woman would want to do that or a man would want to do that because monogamy is so prevalent in our culture, which there's nothing wrong with it, but we like to let live and let live.
Oh, I absolutely agree, and I understand you wholeheartedly. And I'm going to say this: we were talking about this being professional wrestling fans, and here's where professional wrestling ties in here. So
Oh
when
yeah.
I was a kid, Like normal, the hormones start raging when you're 12 and 13. Like this is preteen. This is your teenage years. The hormones start going in. You're all, you experience what it's like to, like a girl and have that kind of like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say this proudly. I mean, because it's not wrong. I mean, we get your feelings where you get the erectileness, if you will, the erection status. But it's one of those things where you start developing feelings that you don't really understand, so to speak. I'm taking you to health class here, is what I'm doing, people. Seventh and eighth grade here. Mrs. Gray, hello. I digress. But it's one of those things to put it in a blunt and perspective and put it into a politically correctness. I mean, you get the urges, so to speak. And I remember as a kid watching Trish Stratus and Lita when Kane was marrying Lita live on Monday Night Raw. Trish Stratus coming out in that wedding gown, the little white dress. Lita had the black dress on because she didn't want to marry Kane. Wrestling fans already know where I'm going with this. Like, you
Oh
know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Matt Hardy being involved in that, getting choke slammed off the stage. Like, yo, Trish Stratus and Lita were my girls. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love Lita. I was more of a China fan. China doll, that was my era. And Hulk Hogan was my dude. Like I was a kid. No, I'm gonna marry Hulk Hogan one day. I'm gonna marry him one day.
You see, that's all right. Here's and I see that's funny that you brought that up because when you look at the golden age of everything with as far as the '80s go, I mean Hulk Hogan right there. I mean, if you didn't know what professional wrestling is, you just know or you didn't watch it. That's what Hulk Hogan did because from the acting standpoint, from No Holds Barred to Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, from the acting
God,
front,
see
professional
that.
wrestling front, Rocky 3, of course, Thunder Lips is here in the flesh, baby. So I mean, you have that mainstream appeal with Hulk Hogan, and I mean that's another great one with China. And obviously, China, God rest her soul, did work in the adult entertainment industry as well. But when people wanted to patent what professional wrestling was for a woman,
I
China
actually got
Intercontinental
to
Champion.
meet Joni once. I was super excited about that. I have a picture with her somewhere. I have to find it, but I actually got to meet her once, and she was just such a sweetheart. I loved her.
Now, I'm curious, what year did you actually wind up meeting her?
I was young. I can't remember exactly. I wasn't even driving yet.
Okay. Well, see, here's what's interesting about that because when you look at when China and her debut in WWF being alongside Hunter Hearst Helms, aka Triple H, manhandling Marlena, Goldust's real life wife,
Mhm.
that see, you know where I'm going with this, and then Intercontinental Championship status, Women's Championship status, she dominated for years in a male dominated world. So
Exactly.
getting to see what she did with the workout videos, the whole nine. So yeah, it's a great time to be a China fan, and she really influenced a lot. And I'm glad to see that she's in the Hall of Fame now, mind you, as a part of D-Generation X. But I think there has to be some time where we can get her in solo because her solo career was absolutely, absolutely amazing.
Oh my God, inspirational to female athletes all over the world.
Exactly.
She's wonderful.
It is. And I got to say something. When I first saw her even going into the adult entertainment industry, and I know Tammy Sitch, aka Sunny, did some work in the adult entertainment industry as well. I think for me, I'm just like, okay, like, because I remember, like, you see stuff again as a kid, 2005. I was 13, for God's sake. You see tapes going
Oh,
around
God.
from sex tapes. So, yeah, you know where I'm saying. Then it kind of dove her right into the adult entertainment industry like a few years later, right after that. I mean, she was on The Surreal Life, VH1, Brigitte Nielsen, for those that remember that. Like, she did some stuff around that time period.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, of course, especially like the wrestlers, they're all like highly tuned
Hmm.
athletes. Like that is, I dated a man many years ago, and he was a wrestler in a bunch of the wrestling shows in the area, the local ones, independent circuits. And so I got to learn how to take bumps, and I would be on the ringside and do all the cool girl stuff, and distract the refs and act crazy. It was all fun, and oh my God, it was a lot of work. There
I
was a lot of gym time included in that.
I think what a lot of people don't realize now, I'm a kid from New York, right? So 10, 15 minutes from me was the NYWC Training Academy. For those that don't know, a lot of people that came from that academy were the likes of Brian Myers and Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. You had Matt Stryker, you had Bull James. You had a lot of people that would go on to various wrestling promotions come from the NYWC Training Academy. It's no joke. The bumps, like you mentioned, the fitness, the overall grind that goes into becoming a professional wrestler.
Mm. Oh my God, the bumps hurt. I was okay taking him in the ring, but if I was trying to take him outside on the mats, oh my God, I was going to the chiropractor the next day.
Did you actually did you get the rope burns running the ropes or just mainly bumps you took?
I would get burned sometimes. I'm really short. I'm 5 foot tall, so I really would just roll under things because I'm clumsy too. So we didn't try and get me like I tried to go in the ring with the ropes like once or twice and usually it landed on my butt. So I rolled in.
Well, I got to say, it's a learning experience. It truly is, and I think I can probably also attest to this. Like you're in there, and you just garner a newfound respect for what guys and gals do with their bodies in the professional wrestling world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where I got to say this, whether it's professional wrestling or the adult entertainment industry. See, here's the thing. As a kid, and we were talking about the urges at 13, I was the kid that loved pop culture and professional wrestling. And I always like to tie in pop culture with everything I do, as you could tell with this show. But what's interesting is, like, the first time I heard about, like, the adult entertainment industry, and I've always used this as an example, Donna Summer, when she was Aunt Una on Family Matters, it's the first time and I know this will make you laugh. So, when I first heard the term BBW, obviously Big Beautiful Woman, was the first time was on Family Matters because Aunt Una, she was a big woman that, and Jaleel White, Steve Urkel's aunt, goes into the transformation chamber there, gets all skinny, and the minister, the pastor who's in the main episode of the show, liked her for who she was. I like BBW's Big Beautiful Woman, and then boom, liking her for who she is. It sends a nice little message from an episode of Family Matters. I know that's a very random reference, but there's the pop culture tie in there. So the different categories with the adult entertainment industry, whether it be BBW, SSB, MILF, what have you. For me, I just looked at all for women being beautiful as they are. I was telling you this last night, and I say this and I like to reemphasize it on the show. Beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And I include you in those sentiments, Miss Princess Havoc.
Well, thank you. I absolutely agree with you. And the thing that like I love about that I'm going into the industry is that from where I started when I started doing everything because I was like, oh, I want to do this now. I have the opportunity. Let's just I'm going to jump in and try and let's see what I can do. To now, my confidence level, my self-esteem has gone up because I'm getting validation that I actually am pretty. And for years, with all the magazines and everything is just skinny girls. You have to be a size zero to be successful or be considered pretty. And it's just, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, all the way from tiny little girls all the way up to the big ones. Like everybody's beautiful in their own way. And it's the adult industry is shifting where it's more acceptable to be yourself and you get accepted just to be yourself and have fun being a freak and letting your freak flag fly.
It's like that 1995 one-hit wonder song by Dina Howard. I'm gonna be a freak until the day, until the early morning. We can root all till the night, till the early morning. Hello, freak like me. I digress. So it's one of those things where, hey, I'm gonna tell you something. My best friend and my co-host, Steve Nicoforo, I'm a big R&B guy. I love all music because everything in life is an art form, right? I love all music. But if you look at R&B, he even said to me, he goes, Mike Larkin, you like that panty dropping music, don't you? I'm like, dude, booty shaking, earthquake, and panties dropping ain't no stopping kind of music. There's a lot of great R&B songs out there that talk about that 1, 2, 3 LOVE. Like, you cannot go wrong with that. Puts people in the mood, and it's nice. It's romantic, Put a little flowers, rose petals by the bed. Hello. You know what I'm saying? That's a good time.
Oh, absolutely. I lean more towards like the Romeo Santos and Aventura, but it's cool. It's all the same thing.
Exactly. Now, you know what I'm talking about. It's all different art forms and it's love at the same time. But I also look at it like this. Like you're talking about different shapes and sizes. I look at people in the plus size mind. Look at women like Ashley Graham putting it down for all the girls. Ashley
Oh
Graham's a
my
beautiful
God,
woman.
yes. She's amazing.
And me, like I was America's Next Top Model. I remember Tyra Banks. I love Tyra Banks. I mean, pop culture style, all that. I remember Life Size with Lindsay Lohan. Like you talk
Oh yeah.
about people like Naomi Campbell, who was in Michael Jackson's "Keep It in the Closet" music video from '91. Something about you, baby, that makes me want to give it to you. I think Michael Jackson was very valid in those sentiments. You got Naomi Campbell in the video. Hello. So I mean, there's a lot of yes. So there's a lot of elements that could be tied in with those words, with the imagery about it. And like I said, I mean, America's Next Top Model, they gave us, I mean, look at it like this. And one more pop culture reference for now. Look at My Fair Brady, Christopher Knight. You had friggin' Peter Brady from, the Brady Bunch. He was dating a model, Adrian Curry, who was on, America's Next Top Model, My Fair Brady. Here's what made me laugh, because I think this will make you laugh as well. You look at there's one episode where she does a shoot with one of her friends who's also a model, right? Came out beautiful, beautiful photos, very sensual, and it really kind of piques a man's interest. Again, the urges, so to speak, if you will, but I digress. Moving on to the story here. You got Christopher Knight, who sees the photos after she presented them with them, to him, and she goes, that gets you going, doesn't it? And he goes, I married a lipstick lesbian. This is the worst physicalization. This is my worst fear, the physicalization of worst fear that I've ever had. And I'm like, bro, your wife took a photo with a hot ass girl, and you're freaking out of this. This is my physicalization of my worst fear. Now, to me, as a man, and this is just a man coming out and hear me, Miss Princess Abbott, that's not the physicalization of my worst fear. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know many men that would be.
And that's the thing. And here's what it is. And this is how I put it, people. That wasn't a Christopher Knight answer. That was a friggin' Peter Brady answer, is what that was. That was pork chops and applesauce written all over it. That was a Brady Bunch answer, is what that was.
That was a publicist in his ear answer, is what that was.
Yes, but again, there's the pop culture reference to what we talk about with modeling in the adult industry. And I got to say this, like for me as a kid, and like I told you about the beauty, strength, and dominance, and this is where we get into our next topic here. Like my mother and my grandmother were two of my biggest influences, and I'll say that proudly. You know, my grandmother was a strong, amazing woman. My mother, same thing, raised me right, work ethic. I love her to death. I was very blessed and very lucky to have great parents and grandparents, but I always looked at my mother and my grandmother because they were strong. Like you talk about you being short with 5 foot. My grandmother was around 5 foot, 5'2". My mother was 4'11", short woman, but you know they got their point across, and they're always, you know, they mold you to have respect for women like I would have respect for them. So it's that kind of advice, that kind of adherence to those words that really, you know, mold you into the person that you are, and that's why I'm so thankful to have that mindset that I have.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's always great when you have a strong woman in your life. My mom was the same for me. Actually, she has four sisters, and every single one of them are probably the only reason that I'm still alive today, with their guidance and wisdom through the years, because they're the smartest women I've ever seen.
See, I like that too, and because I also look at it like I think people nowadays need to be a little bit more open-minded, and why I say that is like whether it be, you know, adult entertainment or what have you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's art, because I mean, when people are painting like nude artists, like nude models, you know what I'm saying, there's painting, you see a lot of like a sculpture, you know what I'm saying, from the art standpoint, but people just look at it as like, oh, like you talk about very taboo, that perfect word to describe it. But I'm just like, if you actually really analyze, dissect, and decipher it, I'll use another example. Bob Ross, God rest his soul, died in 1995. The Joy of Painting, used to watch it every time I come out of school, right? Joy of Painting.
It's on Netflix right now.
You see? Okay. 30 minutes. He starts off, you know, I'm good with a little spots, you know, I'm going to do this and that. By the end of that 30 minutes, you got a mountain, you got a river, you got the heavens, you got whatever you got, and it's a masterpiece. Look at that Bob Ross. You know what I'm saying? If you're actually looking at an image, if you're actually looking at a painting, are you really looking into it? Are you looking at the actual details of it? That's how you can kind of look at it with nude modeling and how they sculpt you and the whole stuff. You see that in a lot of classes. So it's just like, why are we just talking about taboo in the adult industry? You know what I'm saying? Why do we got to hide that? You know, just let it go out there. Let us apply our craft and hone the craft. And we'll get into adult movies in a second here, but it's just like, let people live how they want to live, as long as they're not hurting anybody. You know what I'm saying? People need to be a little bit more open minded. Go ahead.
Well, it comes back to that. I mean, especially for women in the industry, it comes back to the women are not supposed to enjoy sex. They're supposed to serve, whoever, and we're supposed to be subservient, and it's all about everybody else. But no, but we can't control our own bodies. Of course, we've got all the other political stuff going on, which I'm not even going to touch on because that's a whole like
Yeah.
5 hour thing. But we, it's such a good way for women to take charge and show, learn about their bodies, and it'd be okay to have an orgasm and learn how to do it and learn how to speak up and tell your partner, it's like, this is how I like you to touch me. More people should be like that. You should try and understand more. I don't.
Oh no, I agree with you. Now, by the way, yeah, we'll be here all day with politics and stuff, man. What's going on in the world? Oh my goodness. Anyway, but to touch upon that, I gotta say it like this. You know, there's a lot of, and for me, I don't know if it's just me, just being old school, you know, traditionalist, like, you know, just providing the mood, just, you know, taking your time, whether it be with love making, sex, the whole nine. Like, that's just a good night. You know, why rush a good thing? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you use words like quickie that we see people say nowadays, and for years and years and years upon years. But it's just like actually taking the time, to be with the woman, enjoying the night. You know, dare I say, to quote Dr. Hook, share the night together. Take it back to the '70s with that joint. Oh my goodness, you can see where my mind goes. Jeez. So it's one of those things where it's just like people just don't take the time and appreciate. And I mean, you're talking about women, how we just like look at them like serve. It's like the old days of, get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. What I'm just like, we've come so far in the days, and this is where the wrestling tie-in comes in. Andy Kaufman, God rest his soul, being the heel that he was, when him and Jerry the King Lawler, it's documented in the Man in the Moon, Man on the Moon movie.
Oh, I
Friggin',
love that
he's
movie.
talking. Yes, thank you. So when he talks about, Jerry Lawler, you want to wrestle me, man, from Memphis, Tennessee, and he's the Intergender champion of the world. Like, that's just storytelling at its finest because it really depicts what we've seen for centuries and years and years and years. That really does happen in everyday life, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, it's one of those things where I think we need to appreciate more, like you mentioned. And I think with you, like I'll be honest, I've seen some of your work on OnlyFans. I gotta say this, and I've looked at your Instagram. You're in lingerie, you're twerking, you're doing your thing. Beautiful imagery, beautiful videos. You were doing your thing on there.
Well, thank you, thank you. I for every picture you actually see, there's probably 30 that I took. Well, maybe not 30, probably like 5 or 10 to be a little more accurate. Things that I don't like because I'm a perfectionist and I want to make sure that people see me in my best light because you don't want to see the girl. Oh yeah, you might want to see the girl next door, but I want to be prettier than the girl next door because I've always been the girl next door and I don't like that.
So pretty much what you're telling me here is, and I think you could tell my nerdiness is showing here again. Look at the late '90s, right? Like people talk about the pop genre taking over. You look at groups like the Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, and NSYNC. So we had the females as well. You could kind of call them a quartet. Some would say a triple threat. You would exclude one out. You had your Britney Spears, you had your Christina Aguilera's, you had your Mandy Moore's, you had your Jessica Simpsons. So I'm gonna say this right now: when you talk about the girl next door, so you're kind of like the Mandy Moore. You want to break that stereotype. You don't want to be missing them like Candy, taking it back to '99 with that joint. Is that what you're kind of saying? Like you mentioned the girl next door, like the Mandy Moore type appeal to it.
Probably more Jessica Simpson and the whole and a little more sheltered and a little. I've always been very book smart, but I was very sheltered. So sometimes it takes me a minute to catch on, but I get there. It just takes a minute, and all I can think of is Jessica Simpson on her show and eating tuna and chicken and
Is this chicken what I have, or is this fish? Yes, her and Nick Lachey, newlyweds.
that's all I think about at this point.
Hey man, you're not wrong on that. And I gotta say, for her with the Daisy Dukes, Dukes of Hazard, and for me, look at that time period, like '99. She hits it strong with, I want to love you forever, and boy, I think that I'm in love with you. Sampling John Mellencamp's Jack and Diane. Like that was the peak for her, and like Jessica Simpson in her own right, another beauty. Another beauty. I'm going to say this right now. I remember as a 10-year-old kid, friggin' Irresistible, which was on the Master of Disguise soundtrack with Dana Carvey, for those that remember that film. My God, like that whole video. And then, when she's talking about the sweetest sin, her and Nick Lachey, there's a sex appeal. There's Jessica Simpson moving out from the I Want to Love You Forever with the flowers in the video, the whole nine, to where you are with her and Nick Lachey, 1990 off the Sweet Kisses album. Then to see her grow like a lot of these girls do, just opening up and just letting them know, hey, there's some music, there's some talent, there's some artists, but there's also that appeal to it. And you can see it with each and every one of their videos.
I think my favorite one that the transition was just so dramatic and public was Christina Aguilera. Like she
Oh,
went, oh my God, and I love her, and she's just doing so well in her life now, and yay her.
hey, for me, I was a kid and I remember when, okay, so I was also always trained with like the blonde look because I remember Genie in a Bottle. I remember What a Girl Wants. I remember Come on over, baby. And then
Do you
she,
remember the Birdie video? I did my
yes.
hair like hers, the black and the blonde, because I'm naturally blonde, and when I was younger, it was really, really bright like that. I kind of have to make it brighter now, but at that time it was a platinum blonde, and I put the black in there just like her because she was so cool at the time. And of course, I still do it from time to time, but people think I'm crazy.
No, no, I agree. I like that look. It also kind of reminds me then when she went full black and she's talking about thanks for making me fighter. Yes. Like, I mean,
Yes.
well, I mean, you also had like Willa Ford for like very briefly around that time, and her big hit was that "I Wanna Be Bad with You, Baby." For those that remember that from like 2001, 2002, with
I
that,
still have that song on my playlist.
they do
I
nice,
do.
nice. They don't be
I
ashamed about that.
I listened to all my stuff from when I was in elementary school, high school, middle school, all of it, and I don't like a lot of stuff that's new because I like to sing. I sing all the time, and if I can't understand it, I don't particularly like it. but I like I'll try and like enjoy the tunes or the beats and the music part of it. But I lean more towards the stuff that I can sing, from when I was a kid and remember all the words.
I like your style. No, I agree because I'll be honest, like I was a kid, like growing up on Long Island. I'll say this right now, and I've touched upon this. Like my parents worked in radio for like over 20, 30 years. They worked for 106.1 BLI on Long Island, local radio station. So I was like just always encompassed by music. Like my mom liked the Motown, the R&Bs, and a lot of my mom just loved music. My dad was more 102.3 BAB, with hard rock, classic rock. And you hear the guy talk like this. Oh yeah. So it's
That
really
sounds
the
like
rock. So you had the rock stations, but that's cool because you get to open up to different styles of music. I remember when he had the Poison CD in his friggin' in his car seat there, for God's sake. So it's one of those things where, like,
Poison.
man, the Rock of Love, and okay, here's the thing, like reality TV, like when he was doing the Rock of Love, the Rock of Love 2, the Rock of Love tour bus, like obviously I knew Brett Michaels. Okay, now did you watch those shows?
Uh, I'm sad to admit that I watched the first couple of Rock of Loves. I stopped when we started going on tour and acting crazy. And I love Brett Michaels. Oh my God, I love him so much. He's so talented and wonderful. But if I hear one more thing about his diabetes,
Di- okay, first and foremost, my mother has diabetes, but she doesn't go on like Brett Michaels does with his
right,
diabetes.
and it's like I understand it, but do your stuff and manage it privately, or it doesn't have to be the center of everything.
Uh, was that around the same time when he was calling that girl? I think it was Tamra, and he kept calling her Tamara. Remember that episode? He kept calling the girl Tamara, and her name was Tamra. Screwed up the poor girl's name.
Yeah, all those shows, I was guilty. That was my guilty little pleasure. I would close the blinds and avoid talking to anybody and watch like Shot at Love with Tila Tequila.
Yep. Yep.
Oh God, what was the other one? It was before Bachelor and all the foolishness because I can't stand
Oh,
those.
Joe wants to be a millionaire. Joe
No,
wants to be a millionaire.
all the ones on MTV and VH1, all the teeny bobby music ones.
Uh,
Uh,
well,
yeah,
I used to watch like the Tool Academy and I Love Money and the Flavor of Loves and the Charm Schools and that
Flavor
whole.
of Love. Yes, that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Flavor. Oh my God, I love him.
when New York spat on Pumpkin. Oh yeah. I know Pumpkin spat on New York. My bad. Role reversal. Pumpkin spat
I
on New York.
I just you said that and I can see it in my brain, like it's engraved. And oh my God, I loved it. It
Uh,
was uh
Well, she was the perfect antagonist, that being New York, to Pumpkin's protagonist. And it's just, she's like, slap me, bitch, and then spit right on the chin. Right on the chin,
I
nonetheless.
always hoped that I would get a chance to meet New York and just so I could be like, girl, you are fabulous, and give her a hug and take a selfie with her because, I have to take the selfies.
Well, it's one of those things. And then New York had those spin-offs. Like, I Love New York, I Love New York too. New York Goes to Work, New York Goes to Hollywood. So,
I did the I Love New York 1 and 2, and she lost me on going places. Like it lost the interest.
yeah, it did the same thing for me. And then, like I mentioned, the Tool Academies that they had on there where they're going to friggin' school and trying to teach the boyfriends and the significant others not to be tools. And the second season had like the girlfriends on it. Like the first season was more designed and going towards the boyfriends, and then the second season was with the boyfriends and the girlfriends. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well, once we started bringing in the couples and trying to do the marriage therapy and
Oh, the couples therapy and all that. Yeah.
oh my God, I can't because this stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's a band-aid and it doesn't work long term.
Well, yeah, you had those, and they really focused and generated more towards like the Dr. Drews and Celebrity Rehab and the whole nine.
Oh yes, I love Dr. Drew. One of my biggest inspirations was Loveline with Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
I love that show. I was in middle school listening to that show, like sneaking my radio into my room. And I'm like, okay, I gotta turn it down. It's on 96 rock and 96.1 rock, and I gotta get under the covers and hide to listen to it. And I would listen to that show. It'd be like midnight, and I'm in middle school listening to this show.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. Not necessarily the love line, but we all have those guilty pleasures. We're sneaking in and just watching TV or listening to music. I remember
Oh,
listening to the top 10 countdown of BLI on friggin' the BLI countdown, like I told you, the radio station. I used to listen to the top 10 countdown, top 20 countdown to like 10 or 10:30 at night, and I had school the next day. I mean, friggin' late hours, man. And you were just grooving to music for like hours upon hours on hours, you know? So I get it. I understand.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Of course, I probably shouldn't admit that I was doing that in middle school. It probably wasn't appropriate, was it?
It's okay.
I
We all have our guilty pleasures. It all comes out in the open eventually.
I started reading encyclopedias about human sexuality when I was, as soon as I could really like understand things. I started reading when I was 8, 9, 10 years old because I was curious. So I guess, call me Curious George. I like to learn things.
That's not bad though. That's very intuitive, and that really just shows your overall grind, so to speak, for just the overall, importance in learning about human sexuality and like again getting into the adult entertainment industry. Which I got to say, this I've had her on the show. You and Mandy Maytag and you and Luscious Lily, three beautiful women.
Oh,
Shooting with them, I got to ask you about shooting with them because again, Mandy, absolutely beautiful, beauty, a professional. You got Luscious Lily, another one who's gorgeous, and the three of you are just an absolute triple threat of just overall beauty and just overall exuberance of it. So I got to ask you, working with those two?
oh, well, we shot yesterday and it was fantastic. We got probably 5 to 10 hours of really good content. And it was, I mean, we can see it. A lot of it she's got, some of it she's got on her peaks. And then, we're going to edit everything up and post everything up. But we did lots of girl stuff. And let me tell you, like, that tongue, that tongue does things. And they're just both of them. Aside from like the sexual part of the shooting, they're such artists. Everything they do, they're perfectionists. They want it to be right when they do it, and it's like it takes a long time. But I think any good quality show would be, or any good quality photo shoot or shooting for video would take a little bit longer to do it right. But
Oh,
they're amazing. I love them.
of course, agreed wholeheartedly on both of them being amazing. And first and foremost, like the Gene Simmons type tongue that you see with Randy
Oh
Maytag,
my God.
shit is real. Shit is real.
At one point, she wrapped her tongue around one of my nipples, and it was I'd never seen that before, and that was a cool feeling.
I bet. And I got to say this. You hear the phrase skills that kills. I replace the S and put the Z's on them. You know what I'm saying? Skills that kills. You know what I'm saying? Replace the S, put the Z's. It's Mandy Maytag right there. It really encompasses her all in all. You know what I'm saying?
I can't wait to see what great things she's doing because like she's just coming. I think she's coming home. Like she's coming off tour this week. But she's been the last like 2 weeks on 2, 3 weeks on tour, and she was telling me she has been. Oh my God, she hasn't had a minute to breathe. So she's got a lot of great stuff coming, and I think her career is just going to go sky high.
Agreed wholeheartedly. Check out Mandy Maytag and Luscious Lily on your Twitter and Instagrams, wherever you get your social media platforms for some Mandy Maytag. I gotta say, a great follow, great imagery, beautiful photos, and it just really shows to her overall grind as well. And I think that's what I respect about yourself and Luscious and Mandy as well. I mean, you're just three ladies on the grind, going, hard in the paint, so to speak, and really just putting on great content for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. That's the goal. And of course, it is a lot of fun. we we get to laugh a lot, and we all are all friends, and there's jokes and there's lots of stuff that gets cut out of us, falling over, our heels, or I did that yesterday. I've actually got a bruise on my knee because I tripped over a stool and my heel, and I trip over air in bare feet. So that's that's how that goes.
I mean, you were talking about being clumsy before, so I mean, I mean, it is what it is. It happens, and I'll be honest with you, as a clumsy person myself, sometimes you fall around the wrong way, and shit happens, and you get bruised. It happens. I've been there. I'll be honest with you. Back on Long Island, New York, when I used to live in Islip Terrace, right? It's a suburb in Long Island. Used to have this deck in the back of the house. You know how many times I would be falling down those damn stairs and friggin' scraping my knees and stuff? Oh, it happens. So I feel your pain. But what's great about it is too, we look at the overall, going into the sets, and I always tell this with people. I mean, What's interesting about doing these shows, and I'm going to say this to you right now, I love interviewing people of all different facets of life. And what I love interviewing about people in the adult entertainment industry model, stars like yourself, Miss Princess Havoc. I mean, a lot of people don't realize like the work that goes into films, the shooting, like you talked about the high heels. Like it's not just, you're laying there and, sex happens. It's just the lighting, the imagery, and the overall focal work that goes into said scene. I really respect just the overall, just the overall facet of the behind the scenes aspect.
Oh, of course. And, like a big thing, everybody has their weird thing that they get nervous about a thing on their body they don't like. For me, I'm not a fan of my tummy, but I'm working on it. I'm working on the self-love. But, you have to move yourself in a way where you're comfortable and you're working the ankles where you feel like you look your best. And I'm here to tell you, like, I really, you get in some like jackknife pretzel positions and it is like very painful, but it looks amazing. So actually Lily tells me that was her biggest tip. If you're comfortable, you're not doing it right. That was my favorite tip of the day.
That is actually a very great tip. And I mean, like you talk about the painful, but I mean, like you said, it gives great shots, different positions, and it really just shows in the films. You know what I'm saying? I think that's great. That's actually a very smart key element about it because I'm gonna say this right now. And like you were talking about, sometimes, there's a thing on camera that you don't like. It kind of reminds me, and put this image in your head, Mr. Deeds. And people are like, well, Mike, what are you going about Mr. Deeds here? Mr. Deeds, Adam Sandler, Winona Ryder. When she comes up to the end and talks about that she truly loves Mr. Deeds there, Mr. Long fellow Deeds, Adam Sandler's character in the movie, she talks about who she really is. She's not Pam Dawson, she's Babe Bennett. She lists the traits of who she is, where she's from, and at the end she goes, and I really don't like my ankles. So there's really something about people that some people don't like, and apparently in that particular moment, Babe Bennett did not like her ankles.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we'd be inhuman to like yourself, like every single thing about yourself, every moment of every day. We all like insecurity is human nature. So I think my Aunt Susan is a life coach and she's a motivational speaker and she goes all over the country and sometimes I think she's gone over into Europe a little bit to do talks and such. And biggest her best advice for me was oh goodness, it just flew right out of my head. I'll remember it in a minute.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
We'll go back to the advice. Okay. Well,
Mom
I
brings
think
me, okay? It really is.
it's okay. It's all right. Well, I think for someone being as smart and like I mentioned, intuitive as you are, I think for me, going back to the human sexuality for a second, I mean, for me, you know how people like as we grow older and as we start out in this thing called life, Miss Princess Havoc, it's one of those things where it's like interests change, things change about people. We all, develop, and so you can like this one time, and then years down the line, you can like something else. Over the years, over the months, whatever span of time, if you will, we all change in their stuff. And I'm gonna say this right now: I love all women, and I will say this right now: I adhere and I always stick by the statement "beauty, strength, and dominance" because that's truly my mindset, right? But for me as a kid, like I mean, you see like how you're supposed to look with the models and stuff, and then like we talked about with Ashley Graham being absolutely beautiful, and I mean the curves. And for me, I don't know, for over the years, it's just I like some curves on them. I like girls that just are not afraid to flaunt and just show who they are. And like you touch upon the self love, I love that. I love all girls, but I don't know. I've sort of been drawn toward the curvy girls. It's kind of like take it back to 2002, Nellyville. Nelly's getting hot in here. Curvaceous, ass bodacious, vivacious. Not only does it rhyme, but once again, more validity to the words. So I mean, interest in different changes, so to speak, with your overall preferences. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. I know I rambled a little bit, but I hope you got what I meant.
Yeah, I ramble too, so it's fine. um, I actually, you missed a very good song that would encompass all of this.
What's that?
I'm shocked.
What?
Fat Bottom Girls.
Oh, Queen, fat bottom girls, you make the rockin' world go around. Yes, get on your bikes and ride them. Yeah.
I love that song. That song, my mom was always a curvier woman, and after she had me, she blamed me her hips spread and blah blah blah. But I guess she was feeling bad one day about herself, and her husband, my stepdad, who raised me essentially, he turned that song on and sang to her, and made her smile and everything. So ever since then, I hear that song, and of course, it makes me appreciate my body better because I definitely have the fat bottom.
Well, first and foremost, nothing wrong with that. Like I say, you know what it is too? And people talk about like Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back. People talk, if you want to go to the country realm, the honky tonk, ba donka donk. And I mean,
Oh my God. Song.
Cisco had the thong song. Like I was 8 years old singing, that thong, the thong, thong, thong. So I mean, there's a lot of good rump shaker. All I want to do is zoom, a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your rump. Rex in effect, on the mic. So it's one
That's
of
a
those.
lot though.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, I know rambling again, but do you remember Sir Mix-a-Lot had like a follow up to Baby Got Back? Do you remember like kind of like the follow up, the other direction he tried to go into? Do you remember the song?
I do not. I didn't know there was a follow-up. Oh my God, I have to listen to it now.
Put it on the glass. It's about breasts. He's on the car, wash the car. Put it on the glass. Put it on the glass.
That is hysterical.
He did a
I-
follow up, people, to friggin' Baby Got Back, and it was less successful, but put it on the glass. Yeah. I mean, MC Hammer, when he broke away and just called himself Hammer, he had pumps and a bump, pumps and a bump. What? We like the girls with the pumps and a bump. I mean, he tried.
Yeah, I
Uh,
miss that stuff. That like the clothes, like the energy, like everybody was just crazier. People, I think that people take themselves a little too seriously now,
mhm.
and everyone wants to be politically correct and you don't want to offend anybody. And I think people feel a little more afraid to be individuals and be themselves. I think the 80s, like the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, everything was just beautiful. There was just so much color.
It's like in 2000 when WWF had the right to censor, and they had Steven Richards and all them in their in the suit and tie, the whole nine there, the white button down and the tie, the whole nine. I mean, it's a parody of the FCC. Nowadays, you have the hashtag cancel culture, which Impact Wrestling is focusing on because everybody has to be, like you mentioned, politically correct. You can't call somebody crazy. You have to say the politically correct term. Like there's an instance where he's like, talk about mentally ill Steven, which was Crazy Steve in Impact Wrestling. So they're mocking the fact that everything has to be cancel culture, everything has to be politically correct. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes, you know what it is too, and I'll say this. There's things to get offended by and that are just not nice and crass and rude that should not be tolerated. I absolutely understand that. But if you get upset, and I'm using the emphasis on upset over the littlest things, it's like, come on, we got bigger fish to fry. There's a lot more bigger problems in this world than this. You know what I'm saying? And a minuscule problem.
Oh, absolutely. It's pick your battles. And I mean, if it doesn't matter in 3 months, like if somebody said something that hurts your feelings and it doesn't matter in 3 months that they said it, why is it worth wasting your energy on it to even acknowledge their existence? Move on. Find something positive to do with yourself.
Of course, but people harp on shit and it just gets ridiculous. And I think it's also the fact that people just like to debate and argue about shit, which I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, yes. Why? Why do they do that?
Why is it so serious? You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing: like we talk about music, like I'll be honest, I was a Backstreet Boys fan. I'll admit it till the day I die. Still a Backstreet Boys fan. There were some catchy ass songs. I Want It That Way, Larger Than Life, Quit Playing Games with My Heart. We'll be here all day with the Backstreet Boys hits, and they're still rocking, still doing their thing, selling out Las Vegas, what have you. But I digress. Look at the Backstreet Boys. I was watching Teens React. The Fine Brothers on YouTube? They have like Teens React to like music videos or what have you. So
Mhm.
here's the thing. They did one about Backstreet Boys, and they were showing the music videos, and they showed "I Want It That Way." Now, do you remember the Backstreet Boys "I Want It That Way" music video?
Every step, every single step.
Hey, I can still do it too. I had the Millennium T-shirt. I had the cover. Still got the cover of it, so I'm right
I
there.
have the tank top, and it's actually safely put in a Ziploc in a storage bin so that nothing happens to it. Because I was that one at NSYNC and O Town too. Those are my other two.
Star Your Liquid Dreams. That's what it is.
Yep.
All or nothing. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I would. Yep. And I have all of that paraphernalia. Like one day it's gonna be worth something.
Sell it
And
on eBay. You get the
yeah.
NSYNC video game of NSYNC in concert where you get to pick out their. Here's the thing. My friend Amanda has that. She had the NSYNC in concert video game where you could pick out their costumes, the whole nine. Oh, for those that remember that. Remember NSYNC had like a brief video game?
Yes. I actually have I remember when they first came out and they had a Disney special during the summer because they had a summer concert
Oh,
series.
Disney in concert. I love those.
Yes, I love that. And when I was a kid, we would all gather around and watch it. Well, they publicized NSYNC coming out, and boys are cute, and we were like to that age. So we actually have a videotape where we recorded the live Disney concert of NSYNC's first big appearance after they became NSYNC.
Like that. I like that. I'll be honest. When I was a kid, and I still have the VHS, I have the Backstreet Boys live from Orlando, Florida from like 98. And that was a badass concert because this is the height of the Backstreet Boys. This is the first album right here. Everybody Backstreet's back. All right. Like I still got that on VHS.
Still know all those moves too.
All
I
right.
can't do a TikTok dance. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Here's the thing. I like to dance. I like to sing, and I like to buy some chicken wings. But when it comes to TikTok, like I get it, but it's just like if you actually think about it, analyze, dissect, and decipher TikTok, it's pretty much Vine from a few years ago.
Yeah, I loved Vine. I need somebody who's a TikToker to come help me learn how to do these TikTok dances.
All this is just dance and put on some little Mosley Blueberry Fago, which is a great song, but it's like that's every friggin' thing now. And Carol Baskin killed her.
Oh, I just got that song out of my head. Damn.
Sorry, Carol Baskin. I love it, and I mean, all right. We'll get to that in a second, but back to my Backstreet point for a minute because we just went all over the place there. Backstreet Boys. So the "I Want It That Way" music video, they had the teens react to it, right? And the first thing he goes is, "Why are they at the airport?" And I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
First of all, why the fuck does that even matter? And number two, if you actually think about it, fans, like what you see in the video, fans, the girls, love them, the admiration, they want to see them take off, they want them to sign the science. It's fandom. It incorporates and encompasses fandom of the Backstreet Boys. Like, what is so hard to understand? Why are they at the airport? Why the fuck do you think? Because and then we also
went on their world tour. Actually, that's why.
Yes, and people got to go like, oh, but why is it like this? Oh, the CGI. Like, look, okay, I know things have advanced in technology, but look, when I was 7 years old watching the Disney Channel and they played that video, like oh my God, it was like right before like the famous Jet Jackson or when we got into like the evening shows on Disney Channel. See, all right, you know where I'm going with this. Like when you play those, like play the videos, when actually Disney Channel used to play music videos, like, excuse me, I loved it, but before High School Musical and that whole thing came into fruition. See?
I like High School Musical because it's like the talent they have and it's cute.
Yes.
But I really don't. I don't like it as much as everybody else in the world did.
You know what it is? I was an old school Disney fan, so once we got to like 05, 06, when High School Musical and Hannah Montana kind of like really became like the leeway, I was like, I had to check out. I checked out. I would come back every once in a while, but I kind of like checked out because I'm like, you had shows like I mentioned, the famous Jet Jackson. You had Lizzie McGuire. You had so many great shows, and then now we're focusing on High School Musical and all this.
Oh yeah, I'm actually I have a daughter, so we have Disney Plus. We got our whole year.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I've actually when I eat dinner, when I'm sitting there by myself or I have a moment alone, I'm watching Lizzie McGuire and Even Stevens right now.
Can you believe? And I'm going to say this, and shout out to the Even Stevens Rank podcast. 20 years of Even Stevens. It just celebrated its 20-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yep.
That's insane.
I know. Again, when you see people like Christy Carlson Romano and Shia LaBeouf doing their thing, great chemistry on screen, and I'm just like, man, it feels like yesterday you're watching this. Like Lizzie McGuire came out in 2001, like 19 years of Lizzie McGuire. Like it's crazy just to see how much time has flown.
My best friend just turned 34, and we're I'll be 34 in August.
Oh, right on.
And he pointed out to me in such a wonderful way because women are so great at aging that this is the decade that we're turning 40, and I had half a mind to drive down to Florida and beat him for pointing that out to me because I'm not ready to admit that I'm getting old.
Yep. It's right. I have a friend. Her name is Brittany.
21 years of friendship right there. That's what we can do each other.
Hey, I have a friend. Her name is Brittany, and she's just turned 33. And I'm going to say this right now. I'm 28 years old, people, and she's like 5 years older than me. And I say, stop saying you're getting old, because I'll be honest with you, 33 and 34 is not old. We're all around the same age here. You know what I'm saying? You look good. Emphasis on the good, Princess Havoc. So, I mean, we all get better with time. It's like AJ and the Factor, Jaheim. You know what I'm saying? You like a wine, you get better with time. Hello. Like, come on. So I mean,
much smarter, and I know a lot more things and tips and tricks, and I'm much more fun now that I'm older.
Exactly. I mean, you get to open up a little bit more, loosen up. It's wonderful. I feel the same way. It feels good. It feels great. It's a release on the mind, body, and soul. So yes. By the way, one other thing I had to mention, since I love shooting the breeze with you, and I'm gonna say this right now. I have a couple of the things I have to ask you, but yo, anytime you want to come back on the show, I've been really been having a blast talking tonight. It's been fun. Anytime you
Absolutely.
want to
Whenever
come
you're
back.
ready, I'm coming.
All right. Now, Miss Princess Havoc, I got to say this because you were talking about fat bottom girls. This takes me back to seventh grade. And here's the thing I still have this on DVD. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan Spurlock, when he came out with Super Size Me, and he ate McDonald's for 30
I,
days.
oh my God, everybody tried to do that right after that. It
Yes.
was terrifying.
And what's interesting is the opening scene to open the movie, they were playing fat bottom girls. It Super Size Me to open up the movie.
Oh wow. I
So
didn't.
So yeah, I mean, that's what always cracked me up about it. And I'm like, here's the thing about Morgan Spurlock and Super Size Me. He went from like 185 pounds to 210 pounds. He gained 25 pounds eating McDonald's for 30 days.
And here we are still eating it.
Yes. Well, here's what's funny about that film. If you look at like the last credit of the film, they go, "Oh, McDonald's has since taken the Super Size Me off the menu, excuse me, but it had nothing to do with the movie."
Yeah, okay.
You see? There's a,
Everything is the movie, okay.
it had nothing to do with the movie though.
I
Uh,
remember like supersized fries and like the Monopoly game.
yes.
And like yeah, like get the supersize because you get 4 stickers instead of 2.
Hey, friggin' the Backstreet Boys, when they had their limited CD, the For the Fans, their concert there, they had like 5 songs. Burger King, man, you order like a Happy Meal, get yourself some Backstreet Boys. All right, that CD. Remember the For the Fans CD?
Yep.
With the All I Have to Give a cappella on it? Yep. Yep. Yep.
Mm, yep.
But yes, I mean, you know what it is too, also, when you look at like that with the Super Size Me. Here's the thing that also got me. They actually talk about sex in that film because if you remember, his girlfriend is like this super vegan and always would cook him in these meals. And I'll be honest with you, nothing against vegetarians or vegan, but that food, oh, you know what it is? Yeah, you know what it is? I'm growing up on fast food. I'm growing up on Italian cooking. You know, manja. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Manja, as my grandmother used to say. It's one of those things where like, oh, I couldn't. And I tried Veg Favor, which was a spot in Islip, New York, Long Island, right? I
Mhm.
tried it. I tried the chicken, and I can say I tried it. It's not the same. It's not like a McDonald's chicken McNuggets. It's not like fast food. But you try it. You know what I'm saying? Just to see, just to see.
I enjoy trying different things and foods, and I like depending on the time of the year or whatever's going on. I actually, yeah, sometimes I go where I don't eat meat for a couple of weeks, or and it's just I don't feel like eating it. But and I eat a lot of vegetables. It just depends on what's going on. But I went on a cruise once when I was a teenager, and I decided I was going to try everything new that was on the menu I've never tried. And one of the things I tried was escargot, and I shockingly it was delicious.
See, you can't say escargot and talk about Pierre Escargot from all that. Keenan Thompson's character. Oh, when he's in the bathtub. Yep. But yes, I understand. I get that. I think that's cool. I mean, we all have to try different things, whatever applies to whatever different crafts, whether it be food, whether it be like we were talking about sexual relations, the human sexuality form. But it's one of those things where I look at it like going back to Super Size Me. What's funny, here's where the sexual element comes in because he's so tired because he's gained all the weight. She would always talk about, the sex. Oh, forget about it. I have to be on top. And they go in about their sex life since he's gained the weight in the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a travesty to waste sex drive because you eat so much of that. Like I feel like you can eat fast food, but you can eat it in moderation. Not every day. Absolutely not every day. Maybe not even every week. But as a treat, maybe.
I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? And what's funny too is like you see a lot of sexual elements incorporated. Like for instance, 8 Mile, and people are like, "Where are you going with this, Mike?" 8 Mile, Eminem. You know why his name was Rabbit? Because he likes to fuck a lot. They mentioned it in the back when they're having sex. Brittany Murphy's in the car. God rest her soul. They're talking about it. His name is Rabbit. Why? 'Cause he likes to fuck a lot. Just nonchalantly. Why is your name called Rabbit? Because he likes to fuck a lot. You
Yep.
know, so nonchalantly. That's how it is.
Yeah, that's how it should be, though. Like, hey, I like to have sex. I mean, I like to have sex a lot. Okay, well, I don't. All right, well then, that's cool for you. I'm still gonna do go have my sex though.
Of course.
That's
I mean, George Michael, sex is natural, sex is fun, sex is best when it's one on one. I want your sex. I mean, we could even take it to the hip hop realm. Gotta rest this old big pun. I'm not a player. I just fuck a lot. I mean, hey, it's there.
Absolutely.
Yup,
Absolutely.
yup, yup. But yeah, and I think that's great. I mean, when you look at the adult entertainment industry, I always talk about people because I'll be honest, my first introduction to the adult entertainment industry, and here's the thing again, 12, 13 years old, girlshuntinggirls.com. It was a website where I don't know if you remember this website. It's a website where girls would there be one on one or there'd be threesome. They pick them up in the van, they go to the house, and bada boom, bada bing, it's on and popping like a pot of neck bones to the break of dawn. That was my early moment of porn. Girlshuntinggirls.com. And then obviously you see sites like X Hamster, X Videos, RedTube, what have you, many
It
vids,
was not
OnlyFans.
that
Yeah.
easy when we were kids. Like you had to find the free trials and watch the
Yes.
pay-per-view channel and try
Oh,
to see
oh my
lines.
God. Here's the thing. All right. See, I love that you brought this up because I've never actually gone to detail about the free trials. And I'm glad that you brought this up. So, when I was a kid, my first sex teacher, my friend's mom, naughty office, dare I say neighbor affair, had to get the free trial to watch the movies. And now we have all these free streaming sites, and it's like bada boom, it's right there.
Yeah. Like seriously, unfortunately, I mean, I watch a lot of porn sometimes. A lot of times I'm watching to see ideas of stuff I want to shoot or different, angles I can be trying to do. Also looking for different talent that I want to work with. But, I have my own preferences and you're going to find a lot of different things. And you type it in and it's just there. Like we had to pay for this stuff when we were kids.
True. Very true. And it's hard.
AOL discs.
Hey, well, as a teen, when you want to see Lisa Lips have sex outdoors in her backyard with her son's friend and you got to pay for it, it's like, no. You know what I'm saying? You just get the sneak peek. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like Malibu's Most Wanted. Hey, fool, I said you could get a snack, not the whole kitchen. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, just enough to frustrate you.
But yeah, no, it's great because again, I remember as a kid also watching Cat House the series on HBO. I'll be honest with you, and I'll say this right now: parents go to sleep. It's the weekend. Just put on some HBO, Cinemax, Cat House the series.
Yep.
You can watch every film with Nicole Sheridan and Willow that they're in on like Cinemax at 2 o'clock in the morning. For God's sake, you can watch Taxi Cab Confessions. Like it's the block, man. It's the block of porn.
There was one I found once, and I don't know how I found it. I think it was it was a lesbian channel, and I can't remember the name of it, and it was geared toward lesbian gay women. Like that's what it was for. I can't remember the name of it. It was a wonderful channel. I loved a lot of stuff on it. But there was actually a soap opera that would come on at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and this is softcore porn. So a softcore porn going on. Like you get boobs popping out everywhere. I'm like, hey, you're not supposed to have those on TV.
Well, okay. When I was a kid, many parody as well with pornographic material as well, parody films, right? So
Mhm.
when I was a kid, my first interaction with that type of film was Spider Babe, which was the porn parody of Spider-Man. And I'm in, I think, Rocky Point, right? We were going to visit some friends who my mom, was friends with around that time. And we were going to Hollywood Video because no Blockbuster and the closest video to rent from was Hollywood Video. And I was almost tempted because Spider Babe was in Hollywood Video and it was rated R. And I'm like, my effing ass, because I just saw this on Cinemax the other week and I know what this film is. So I almost tempted to put it in the shopping cart with the movies we got. But, me being a good kid and my conscience being, good and all, I was like, no, I can't do that just because my mom has no idea what that is. But I do because why? It was on Cinemax last week.
Yep. I still have my Blockbuster card, so yeah, I remember. I remember
Nice.
all those. But yeah, Friday nights were lit at
Yep.
the house watching movies from Blockbuster and eating popcorn and way overpriced candy.
I like your style. I like your style. But yeah, no, that's what's great about it. I mean, from the BBW awards, from a lot of award shows, whether it be AVNs, focusing on, the cam aspect, whatnot. And the award shows are great too, because you get to see the, the pageantry, the glamour, the elegance, if you will, so to speak, with the dressing, with dresses and everybody looking all sharp to the nines for the awards. I think that's also a great aspect of the industry. You get to, different categories, different preferences once more, but the award shows are a spectacle in their own right.
I've actually got to start looking. Mandy's going to help me. She had told me she was going to help me get going on getting to the different cons and the different award shows and stuff so that I can start meeting people. And I am super excited because I didn't even consider that as being an option for me to go. Like, I would be somebody of that nature, that like that big a name that people would actually want to see me. But I actually had somebody stop me in Walmart. Yes, I shop at Walmart. Uh, they recognized me from my Twitter, and it startled me. But we, after we figured out like he wasn't crazy, then we took a selfie and did an autograph, and that was like the coolest day of my life.
See, that's cool because you have like the fetish cons and the whole nine, like the different type of cons. I know there's a lot out of there, but that one sticks out. Like again, different preferences, different nuances, and that's great because someone saw your photo, and then the social media aspect saw your photo. They said, "Hey, I saw you on Twitter," and just overall recognize you for your work, what you do on the social media front. See, that's cool. But then again, you have to be wary, like you mentioned, because you never know how psycho, yeah, that they can be.
I'd rather not end up in one of the windowless white vans.
Yup,
And
yup, yup.
like to stay out of the basement.
Well, I think that's great. And I think with you, and I'm going to say this right now, I truly wish you nothing but continued success because I think you are going to be on that rise. I mean, when you got great people like Mandy Maytag with you, I think you're going to be, I think you're going to be doing a lot of great things, Miss Princess Havoc.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Now, here's the thing I always like to ask as well, because you being the very, like we talk about your intellect with the human sexuality and the psychology front, and again, an amazing story of how you get into the adult entertainment industry. I got to ask you, is there any advice for anybody that really like, if you want to give advice, excuse me, to someone who, female, whoever wants to get into the adult entertainment industry, what advice would you give them as someone, who's a modeling aspect, the BBW porn star, however you want to define yourself? You're a woman, you're a beautiful woman at that. What advice would you give them?
Don't do anything that doesn't make you feel comfortable, and speak up when, like, if somebody is doing something and it hurts or you don't like it, then say something, because we're all professionals. Most of us are professionals. There are creeps, unfortunately, but most of us are professionals. And hey, I need a water break, or oh, I don't feel comfortable doing that. You can say no. Most people will work with you, and like, that's, you see a lot of younger women getting, they get really abused, and like it's really rough if you don't have the confidence to speak up and say, that's not okay.
See, that kind of reminds me, and before I have you promote the social medias and we do the plugs, I have to mention this. See, this also where it ties into wrestling. Chris Jericho, his podcast, Talk is Jericho, he actually had on, because I know she's doing some radio shows as well and another integral part of the industry, Asa Akira. He was having her on to talk about the career in the radio show, right? And then it got to a part where he asked her, is there anything that you don't feel comfortable doing in scenes? And I found out from listening to that interview with Chris Jericho that one, Asa Akira does not like anal. And like you mentioned, I think that's a great part because you get to speak up and say, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing this scene or doing this, notion, this sexual, the act, so to speak. So I learned from that Asakira has said no and she does not like anal scenes.
I actually also suggest, like, one thing I'm working on right now is putting together my limits list, and like a kind of a resume of everything that I'm willing to do, things that I've done in the past, maybe adding in people I've shot for that can vouch for me or say, yeah, I've shot with her. She's good. Or, I might not be everybody's cup of tea. They might not like me. I think I'm pretty likable, but, it's happened. People don't like me sometimes. But I think that would be very helpful, especially for new talent, to be able to categorize, because every conversation you have with a producer is the same conversation, more or less, and they want to know the exact same information. So how cool would it be just be, okay, here it is. I don't have to repeat myself.
Oh, of
It saves a lot
course.
of time.
It is, and I'll add to that. Just be confident, I mean, there's an old song by one Ricky Jay, but I really want to hit a girl, no means no. I could do it for a minute, girl, no means no. I just want to get a hit a girl, no means no. I can't believe you never did it, girl, from like early 2000s. Again, more validity with those words, but I think that's very cool. The fact that again, speak up. I think it's very cool what you guys do with your scenes. We mentioned Mandy, we mentioned Luscious Lily. I got to give respect to everybody in the adult entertainment industry. Doesn't matter the size, the shape, the orientation, does not matter. For me, I see people for who they are. And I think that's what's great about yourself, because you see people for who they are. And I got to tell you something. You are very likable. You're an amazing human being, and I can't wait to work with you again. So on that note and that overall notion, please promote your Twitter, Instagram, your OnlyFans, where people can follow you, Miss Princess Havoc. The floor is yours.
I am on Twitter, princess_havoc, princess_havoc 20 on Instagram. And my OnlyFans is linked in both of those pages, as well as any contact information for bookings. I do all kinds of crazy things. So don't hesitate to ask, because I might consider it. And I like to do stuff. So let's work. Let's, come follow me, see what I'm up to, because I stay crazy.
Hey, staying crazy, it's a beautiful thing though, man, because we get great content, like we mentioned, lingerie. You yourself looking good on OnlyFans, emphasis on the good. Instagram photos, the Twitter game. My goodness, follow you some Princess Havoc. Now I gotta ask you one final thing before I have you say final words here. Man, Princess Havoc, is it because you're royalty, you're a princess, you want to be treated like a princess, but you also cause havoc? What's the deal with that name? Because that is a very cool name. It incorporates a lot of elements. I know I analyzed, dissected, and deciphered that, but you got a princess on one hand, loves to be treated, loves to be spoiled because you are a princess, woman, the work of art that they are. Then you got the havoc aspect where you could be buck wild. So I mean, how'd that Princess Havoc thing come into fruition?
Well, it's actually kind of silly. Princess Havoc is my gamer tag, and I've been gaming since like I was, I don't know, I discovered the internet and Counter-Strike. Um, and then it turned into a performance group when I was 18. One of my friends and I, we all had the idea to make it into a tattoo. And so we have different names, but it's all kind of like a friendship thing. And we actually went to a local swinger club and would perform like Dresden Doll songs and, run around in lingerie and cause havoc and have fun. And it's kind of morphed into, I have a tattoo of it right on my lower back where the tramp stamp is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who knows me has lovingly deemed it my warning label, because I'm very, 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 very sweet and nice. And I behave myself, and I'm very polite and awesome, but I get pushed over a certain point, and I cause a lot of damage. Not like crazy girlfriend beat your, windows in on your car damage, but like, I don't know, start remodeling the bathroom and then realize I'm not a plumber and that's not my job.
So pretty much what you're saying is there's a part of you that can be sweet, but then you can also cause havoc and craziness. So you could be like Adam Levine and his wife in the Misery video. I am in misery. Or, you could be like that. You could go crazy sometimes like Britney Spears. You drive me crazy. I get it. I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But, I think that's what makes you unique, and it makes you the person who you are. And by the way, I have seen that tattoo. Badass tattoo. Check it out on her Instagram. It's a very nice piece.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And I've got actually I need to find a new tattoo artist. So hey, tattoo artist in Atlanta, hit me up. I need some stuff done.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. Two of my pieces are very, integral to me. One is a piece dedicated to my grandfather, God rest his soul. I got a cross on me that says blessed. I got a sanctified on my arm, and I got strength, strength in what I do, strength in getting through this thing we call life. I'm still thinking about doing one for my grandmother. I got a lot of meaningful pieces. And I think that's great. It's an art form in its own right, and badass tattoos all in all. So yeah, gotta love them some tattoos.
The big cross on my back that's got the roses in it, that's actually, I designed that. It's the tribal cross. And each rose represents somebody close to me that's passed away. I need to add a couple of roses to it, and definitely do some touch up. But it's immemorial. My whole back is a memorial tattoo.
That is awesome. Again, see that beautiful tattoo on her Instagram, and Miss Princess Havoc, gamer at that, I will say. I mean, I'm a gamer. Just give me some PS1, PS2, some Wii. Just have some fun, do games, what have you. I love that. Nerdiness.
Games with fans. Somebody hit me up and tell me how to do that, because I don't know.
Yeah, please, like games with fans, the whole nine. I just You know what it is too? I'm a little bit technologically unsavvy, if you will. So yeah, hit her up for that because there's a lot of great stuff that you can do with games and the Twitch streams. Oh, love it, love it.
Oh, that'd be amazing because I'm so special when it comes to the social media that I still remember my MySpace code and how to write the pages out. But Instagram and Twitter completely like they both just stump me. I'm learning and it's really hard for me.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even have MySpace. I started getting into Facebook because a friend of mine wanted to add me, and I didn't even do it. But it helps to promote your stuff. There's pros and cons about social media, and one of the pros is putting your name and putting your brand out there, which is nice. The cons are dealing with absolute dickheads that just want to troll you and be absolute assholes and say irrelevant shit that doesn't matter. But I digress, because with them, we'll be here all day like the politics talk for 5
Of
hours.
course.
So, Miss Princess Havoc, do you have any final words to your fans that have been supporting you since day one and follow you on this journey for what you're doing right now? Do you have any final words for them?
Absolutely. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for following me and liking my stuff. Definitely stay around because I got a whole bunch of cool stuff going. I have bookings lining up all the way till September right now of like different places I'm going to be going as soon as they let us travel those places again. And I just can't wait to share it with all of you. And I love you all so much. Thank you.
You guys can check this podcast out, and the links will be in the description for Princess Havoc on SoundCloud.com/MCLarkin92, WrestlingWhatWrestling.com. You could check out LFC Beauty, Strength, and Dominance. It's not just the name of a podcast; it's my overall mindset. The official T-shirt is out now on Teespring.com. Shout out to Dazzy Lee, my boy on the Max Wrestling Podcast. Killer logo, doing a lot of great work. Check him out. Max Wrestling UK Captain. Oh my goodness, he's gonna kill me for this, but it's you'll see it in the Max Wrestling UK Twitter when I put that in the description as well. I work with a lot of great people. I work with a lot of awesome people, but I gotta say, Princess Havoc, I look forward to having you back on the show and doing a lot of great work with you. So really, truly, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing where your work is. And that Twitter, by the way, if you guys want to reach out to Daz, it's the Captain 512. So anyway, back to you, Princess Havoc. I truly appreciate you. I love you. I respect you. Can't wait to see what you do going forward.
Absolutely. See you soon.
All right. For Princess Havoc, my name's Mike Larkin. We'll talk to you in the next edition of On the Mic with Mike. Peace.